The Minister of Higher Education, Research Science and Technology, Professor Pierre Gomez, who is currently overseeing the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, recently inspected the Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation, GPPC. This inspection was conducted to witness the transportation of the first ever locally produced textbooks for senior secondary schools across the country. To enhance educational service delivery, the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, with government funding, will distribute textbooks to schools nationwide this year. These initiatives follows MoBSE's contract with GPPC and the Gambia Writers Association to author and print home-based textbooks for senior schools covering all core subjects. Speaking to journalists after inspecting the GPPC, Professor Pierre Gomez explained the origins of the project. He also highlighted the steps taken by the ministry to ensure the books met the required standards before publication.
It could be recalled that the ministry had some time ago engaged the Gambian Writers Association to come together and write books for the use in our school system to encourage homegrown writers, some of whom themselves are teachers, teaching these subjects in the schools, different schools. Therefore, changing from the approach since 1965 after independence, depending on books written by others outside the Gambia, and giving it out to our students in our school system. This time around, history is made. Gambians writing their own story, Gambians writing books for Gambians, for Gambian schools, and printed by Gambians, by a Gambia government or printing. So this is unprecedented. And the initiative led to the collaboration of key stakeholders such as the Conference of Principals, CRED, Writers Association, Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation, and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education to work together to ensure that the books to be written are of high quality, both in terms of content and the physical materials to enhance quality education and accessibility at the same time. This demanded that these books are thoroughly scrutinized at all levels, from the Directorate of CRED to the Conference of Principals, to ensure that the content is relevant, quality, and consistent with the school syllabus. So because this is what is important, for whatever is produced by our own people to be relevant, and also for the quality to be there and in line with policy.
Professor Gomez emphasized that the published textbooks have undergone rigorous scrutiny to meet the standards of the country's educational system.
It is important to note that the books we are here witnessing to be handed over to the ministry have all been approved by the CRED Directorate of the Ministry of Education. That is the curriculum. Therefore, GPPC was also to ensure that all the books are published, which require that the books go through proper publishing procedures of proofreading, editing, and check for plagiarism to fulfilling the criteria for publishing. This is also something very, very important. GPPC, on its part, in a bid to fulfill these requirements, engaged subject matter specialists from the University of the Gambia and the different colleges who had looked at these books to ensure that they are of the right quality and within the syllabus as provided for by the Curriculum Directorate. All of these are to making sure that the books are fit for the purposes of helping the children to access good quality materials for proper education.
He stressed the importance of locally produced textbooks for the country's schools, noting that Gambia cannot afford to rely on foreign books after nearly 60 years of independence.
Next year, it will be 60 years. 60 years of independence, but 60 years of a vacuum. That lacuna needed to be fixed before we celebrate 60 years of independence. It must be meaningful. It must be useful. We cannot continue to having senior secondary schools using books that are not produced by our own people. What was the essence of our independence if we cannot write our own stories, if we cannot explain and teach our people? So this exercise, bringing our own writers to sit down and work and be able to, our teachers, our lecturers, and then our own printing institution, to be able to produce for the first time in the history of the Gambia senior secondary school books. This is unprecedented, and I do hope peers and directors, that our brothers and sisters out there, the principals and the teachers, and also the end users, the students, will make good use of these materials.
Professor Gomez also issued a strong warning to the custodians of the textbooks, urging them to use the books for their intended purpose.
We expect these books to be used for the purpose it was meant for. We don't want these books also, and that's the message we are sending. We know our books. They cannot be elsewhere. We are the only one producing them. So we don't want them to be seen somewhere else, apart from where they're supposed to be. Now, I want to believe that the message is understood, so that they are not diverted by other people. So we want the students to have access to these books, because that's going to improve quality. That's going to improve the performance of students. You cannot be studying when you don't have the books. So those things, those days are over. And we want to really thank the ministry, PS, and the rest of the team for the hard work, the commitment, the foresight to ensure that at the end of the day, our students and teachers are served. It's not going to the classroom and then now thinking of where to get a book. Any book that you find, it cannot work like that. It must be books that are approved. But what are the books that are approved when you don't have them? Then it means anyone that you see somewhere, then you use them. And that's going to, whether it is in line with the syllabus, whether it's in line with the expectations for the WAEC and so on and so forth, you don't know. But here now, it means this is what needs to be covered. This is the reference. Whoever is teaching needs to use this as a reference. This is for our public institutions, all our schools, to have access to this. Today is the opening, but today also, the Gambia government, the Republic is saying, we bring these books to the doorsteps of all senior secondary schools in this country, Banjul to Koina.
The textbooks, authored by Gambian writers, were developed through a collaboration between the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education and the Gambia Writers Association. These textbooks reflect the Gambian context, depicting the country's social, political, educational, and economic realities. Subjects covered include geography, economics, chemistry, government, and visual arts, among others. Reporting for Kelfadu, I am Landin Sise.